you can take the shower and just put your ear right in it and let it just really hit a lot of water in your ear.
Well, I might try that.
It doesn't hurt your ear. It doesn't hurt your ears.
Yeah, I might try that because I don't know.
I do that every time I shower. I just bombard both ears. Good.
Yeah, I asked my ear doctor once if I could clean it myself. She says, "No, you can't."
No.
You know, because I don't know. You know, it's shaped so funny. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing okay.
Oh, great.
I'm counting down to when I leave.
Well, yeah. What is it? It's May. Wow, this month went by fast.
Yeah, I'll be leaving in just
April
a few days.
26th, and 2 days you're going to be leaving, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be fascinating. You know, how's it been going at your new home?
Yeah, decent.
Oh, that's good.
You know.
Well, you look like you've got a pretty positive look on your face, so I don't know. Well, anybody got any? I know you have some dreams, Charles. If nobody's here, we can really go in depth unless Roy has a dream. Do you have a dream, Roy? Or?
I can send you a dream if you want it.
Yeah, sure. Well,
all right. Let me work on that.
Yeah. Okay. And Charles, do you have dreams with you, or maybe you can just tell them?
Yeah. You know, I might be able to pull out a really interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
pull out
that
a really
would be
interesting
great.
Dream here.
You know, sometimes
go back in my journal and look for something real quick.
I'm not sure if Gary comes, but you know, sometimes it's kind of fun to do just intimately, you know, just the three of us, you know, I don't know, you know, I mean, we just kind of talk, you know, and on this, I've got all kinds of dreams. You know, one thing I'm doing is, well, I didn't tell you about my cranial sacral, did I? Or maybe I did.
You mentioned a little about it on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to have another one on Thursday, and then it was like I say. I mean, she says, "How's it going?" And I said, "I don't feel anything. I think my body's ice. It just needs to thaw out." And then I found out it was my head that was frozen, not my body. Seriously, and once that happened, suddenly I could go pretty much everywhere she touched. Until then, I was just frozen in my head. Let me see if I got. Did you email that to me, Roy?
Yeah, I just emailed it to you.
Right,
it's
sure,
on
no
the
problem.
way. It's on the way.
Look here.
Yeah, and I was going to comment on that too. Of course, I wasn't on the meeting, but what she did was that was a what you would call an assessment. You haven't started sacrocranial yet. That was an assessment. Did you pay insurance or cash?
Cash. It's not covered by insurance.
Okay, yeah, I figured that. But anyway, that's an assessment. When she puts her hand under your cranium in the back of your head, like that, and she might put one on front, and she's got right there the occipital condyles right there behind your cranium. It starts working. That's sacrocranial. You're into it there.
Well, and you know, the one part of it that I really the two parts, three basically. The heart, when she touched the heart. The other one was when she did that little opening on my abdomen, and she told me that when I told her that it, that my cells all started kind of to sing when she did that. She said, well, that was kind of gave her goosebumps because she says that was called the omen in Egypt, you know, and it had something to do with the omen that we talk about, the omen. You know, hi, Tim. How's it going? Yeah, we're
nice
just
to see you all.
Yeah, nice to see you back in Montana.
Yeah,
so that's great. Yeah, well, Charles was going to get a dream, and let's Roy just sent me one. Why don't we look at Roy's real quick? And Tim, if you have one, we're kind of open right now. I didn't have anything. Let me just put this in here. For some reason, this does not want to come up. But anyway, I will start a new file. Let's see here. Darn it. Come on, baby. All right, let's see here. I'll try to start it. Well, anyway, I'm going to put this in the chat. We have not heard a dream from you lately, Tim, and we'll see see if we can do another assessment. Like, where did you learn cranial sacrotherapy, Roy?
That was in Key West, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I had my first one about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But Adelaide's able to do those, but she's not certified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, this one, the one that I was really trying to get had she had learned it in Sedona, Arizona, and where there's a lot of practitioners there. And
I bet.
Yeah, and she was so good, but she had just, I think because of COVID, closed her practice.
Right.
And
I'd heard a lot of alternative therapists.
Yeah, she moved to North
You can't
Carolina.
do a Zoom. You can't do that through Zoom.
No.
It's hands-on, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the second session. Well, Tim and Charles, why don't you get some dreams ready and just put them in the chat or email them to me. And Roy, why don't you just mention your dream or read your dream and we'll get started.
Okay, let's see here. You got it up. All right. Yeah, I had this on the 22nd. It's pretty recent. My father showed up at my house. He told me he was selling his business. He said I might get phone calls from people. He said he wanted to create more harmony in the family. My sister showed up. She was looking for my father, then she left. She looked perturbed. My father and me went on this voyage. He had this boat about the size of a small dory. He told me to pilot the boat. He was at the stern and I was in the bow. We were boating on a street that was covered over with water. The countryside looked like Jamaica and the streets were covered with water. We went through the center of a shanty town. There were lots of people, but they moved out of the way when the boat approached. We were heading upstream. I do not know what powered the boat against the current. The dream changes and I am back home. I have all these hammocks. They came from Central America. A friend gave them to me. This really heavy guy got him one to try it out. The hammock held him well. I was impressed. And my friend Al comes to visit me. I tried to get him to try out a hammock, but he was in a hurry. He needed to leave to go on a trip. I saw this plane helicopter. It landed nearby. Then these two rangers show up. They said they were checking for mosquitoes and found some on my property. I said, of course, you are in the country and there are mosquitoes all over the place. They looked perturbed. I was about to get upset, but kept things in check. They left the property.
That is quite a detailed dream. I mean, as far as remembering it, was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it came in, they juiced up that broadcast, it was pretty intense.
That's really impressive to remember that many details.
I don't usually remember many details in my dreams.
Yeah. Well, let's just get started on it. One thing we might want to do is do about a third, and a third on each person's dream, and we'll just go as far as we can, and then we'll finish it up Wednesday. But that way we can spend maybe like 30 minutes on each person's dream. So Tim and Charles, you can, when you're ready, just send them. Okay, so let's just start out. our father showed up at our house. Now, a lot of this seems pretty biographical, so we're going to need a lot of explanation. And he told me he was selling his business. He said I might get phone calls from people. He said he wanted to create more harmony in the family. So apparently, now, what can you tell us about that part of the dream? I mean, just about your, do you think this is the subjective father, or do you think this is something a little mysterious that really doesn't have anything to do with outer reality?
I think it's a subjective father.
Okay. All right. Did he, what about his business, and why did it not create harmony in the family?
Well, my father died in 1993. He sold his business in the 1980s. My father had a lot of feuds in the family, so there was a lot of disharmony in the family. So it was really good that he recognized that. He said he wanted to create more harmony in the family. I was really glad to hear that.
Now, say if he sold his business, then no one would have to inherit the business. They would just inherit other assets, not a ongoing business. Do you think
that's
that
correct?
Yes. Do you think
that's
that
correct? It was the assets were split among the family.
Yeah, and so you don't have to worry about giving the business away. You just split up the assets.
Right.
So now this is the subjective father, but it still has something to do with let's go at it at both ends. This was something that actually happened in your life, but it certainly has to do not with this situation in the 80s. I think it has something to do with something that's happening today, and so there's some object that something is, we need to simplify man. I don't know if you ever heard that guy on The Simpsons that says that all the time. Let's simplify man. If we simplify,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, if we simplify, we're going to create more of a balanced place. So possibly right now, there might be some things that we just need to be streamlined or simplified a little bit, so that we are less focused on the outer world because of its complications, not having that hanging over our inner harmony. I would say inner harmony is going to be our connections. That wholeness, means that the inner and outer world are meeting in the middle plane, and they listen to each other. But there seems to be a problem that we're too involved in the conscious attitude, and to create harmony, we need to have a little less complexity. And what that is, I'm not sure. Let's keep going. My sister showed up. She was looking for my father, and she looked perturbed. Okay, so what can you tell us about your sister?
Yeah, my sister's a lot like my father. She's very controversial, and she has a lot of feuds.
Okay.
There ain't too much harmony when she's around.
Yeah. So there's two aspects of this harmony. I mean, disharmony. The aspect of creating more simplicity, let's say, is there is some aspect of the feminine. She's looking for my father. So then she left. She looked perturbed. Perhaps she is some kind of, let's say she doesn't want him to do that, or she wants him to consult her or something. The anima and the paternal aspect seem to be possibly she's trying to turn the paternal aspect against us or something. Doesn't want him to sell the business. Why would she be perturbed?
Well, she wants to be in on any big decision.
Okay. All right. She's not being consulted. So the paternal aspect is making a decision without asking the or consulting the feminine. Now, you know, I often have dreams about my family too, but I know it isn't so much about something happened 30, 40 years ago. It has something to do with me. So again, we're going to, we might know, let's just keep going through and some things might clarify. Then my father and I went on a voyage. He had the boat about the size of a small dory. Okay, now a dory, how many feet is that, do you think?
Well, you know, it's kind of like a lifeboat. These things that they leave the big ship with and they row to shore.
Yeah. Okay, so it might be 10, like a small fishing boat size?
Yeah, you know, like 10, 12 foot.
Yeah. Okay. And now where if it's a voyage, are you going out on the sea?
No, we were like on the street, but the streets had several feet of water on them, so you could, you know,
Okay.
move a boat
anyway,
down the street.
All right.
I mean, my dreams have a lot of water in them. I can go pretty much anywhere on a boat in my dream.
Okay. Now let's just say this. Was there a big flood?
No, it's just natural thing, landscape for me.
Okay. All right. So all around your father's house is a lot of water. But is it on, what did you mean by it's on the street? I wasn't at his house.
Okay. You know, a lot of times there can be streets where when it rains, everything runs down in the street and the street's flooded. The street sort of is a channel for the water. And that's right.
That's probably why it looks like Jamaica. It's some place that does not have very good.
Remember, I had a dream about Jamaica where I went to Jamaica with my sister. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
It was an anima dream with Adelaide.
Yes, and so the sister comes up pretty often. Then is it the same sister?
No, yes, I only have one sister.
Okay. All right. Now the paternal is in the stern. And you are in the bow. So that would mean he's in the front and you're in the back, or
no, the stern is the back and the bow is the front.
Okay, so the father is steering and you're in the front of the boat. So you're kind of in the up front of the boat looking. So
I was piloting the boat. Technically, I was piloting, whatever that means.
Okay. You
remember that dream? What was that lady's name? Tim's friend?
Oh, yeah, Patricia.
And who was in the bow of the boat? They were piloting the boat. The monks or whoever they were in the front, they were the pilots.
Was it, do you know what it was powered by?
Which is sort of counterintuitive. Not any more than she did. I didn't know.
All right, so it's just being, it has a motive aspect. So don't worry about what kind. It just goes wherever it is piloted to. It's kind of like the river Styx. You know, how is that thing piloted? But if you're going down a river, who cares? I mean, you're just flowing.
Well, up a river.
You're going up the river. So you're boating on you're boating on a street that was covered with water. So
I mean, I was going up a creek with no paddles, and I was doing fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just going up against the flow of the stream. But now, in this case, you're you're boating in a place where unconscious is very present. So So the father is there, wants to create more harmony. The sister wanted to deal with him privately. Now, so from this, that, then suddenly, let's forget about that first part. Then you and the father are going to make a Patricia-like journey, and you are going to pilot the boat from the front. He told me to pilot the boat. Did you know where you were going?
No.
Okay. All right. So you didn't really have a goal, right?
Well, I feel like intuitively I knew where I was going, but I couldn't describe it to anybody.
Okay. Yeah. But there is, yeah, you know,
I was
you
going
are
to the
going on a
future.
voyage.
You know,
So
I
what
was
else are
going
you
to the
gonna,
future, but what is the future? I felt like I was going to the future.
it's a voyage of adventure, and you're going to the future. Something, someplace, let's say, I would say that thing that needs to happen. You're journeying to that place that needs to come to be, come to be, you know. Now the countryside looked a little like Jamaica, and the streets were covered with water. Jamaica, to me, represents this wonderful land where everyone, it's Rastafarian.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody is, everybody is a ganja men. You know, they are very close to hallucinogenic weeds. They use, dreadlocks. It's just such a unique place. And they always sing about Babylon and Zion. You know, I mean, there's that wonderful song about, that I just think is so Jungian. By the rivers of Babylon, we sat down. How can we sing King Alpha's song in a strange land? You know, it's just this. How can we sing the song of the self in the ordinary world? You know, I mean, it's just this beautiful. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down and where we went when we remembered Zion. You know, it's just this, everything, almost every reggae song you hear has something about this promised land. Okay.
Very spiritual place.
Yes, it's a very spiritual place. And, you know, they always sing about, they call God Yah or Jah. You know,
Yeah.
it's sort of a shortened
Jah.
version of Yahweh.
Jalamon.
Yeah, yeah, and it is a very spiritual place. We went through the center of a shanty town, and there were lots of people, but they moved out of the way when the boat approached. I got to end it pretty quick because we got to let other people talk. We were heading upstream. I don't know what powered the boat. Everything is. I powered the boat against the current. Okay, the dream changes and you are back home. So now this is the second part. First part is about the harmony, and the sister thinks that the father should not be making decisions without consulting the feminine. So then the second part is about you and the father going on a voyage where dream ego needs to go. It's against the current. You're piloting it like Parsifal does to find the Grail Castle. You know, just sort of, using really, I thought it was a really interesting, that thing we were talking about, art, of putting yourself in where there's no time and space. So if you go to the place where there's no time and space, you're going to find out where you need to go. Now the dream changes and you're back home, and you have all these hammocks that come from Central America. Friend gave them to me. This really heavy guy came in and tried one out, and the hammock worked very well, and you're impressed. Okay, now this is unlike my our son-in-law who's very heavy and got in a hammock and it went right down to the ground.
Yeah, I was impressed because that's what usually happens.
Yeah, I mean, his butt was on the ground.
Right.
Okay, well, anyway, so what does this mean? Now, the hammock is suspended between 2 points. There's this heavy aspect that this tension can hold very heavy weights. So this really heavy guy, who does he represent? There's just some aspect of this. There is a tension in this dream in the first 2 parts that is incredibly resilient. Okay, so there is something about the tension of opposites in the first 2 sections that is incredibly resilient. And I think that the really heavy guy just represents the test of the resiliency of the tension, which is very well balanced. Let's say it is not too far on one side or too far on the other side, and it can hold great weights. In other words, it is a tension that is a very of a very great union, something that is very strong. Al comes to visit me. I tried to get him to try the hammock, but he was in a hurry. He needed to go to leave on a trip. You want now? Just describe Al really quick.
He's been in some of my dreams. The last one we called him. He was a Taoist.
Okay, the Taoist.
The Taoist.
And he was kind of reluctant in that dream too. I mean, what was it he didn't do? I didn't say anything about something.
Yeah, it was these floozies that was trying to get our attention, and Al didn't want to get involved in it. He said, "Oh, you got to deal with this."
Yes, he didn't even help us at all. So anyway, now this Al, who seems to be the Taoist, is not really interested in the tension of the hammock. He needed to go on a trip. But that is very similar to the previous dream,
Right.
Something about Al is very magical, yet he is distant. Okay. All right. Now, so we've got basically these 3 parts about the harmony that needs to be created to simplify something. The second part is the aspect of this watery world where you and the paternal aspect, the dream ego, you're going to have the paternal aspect in the back, but you need to lead it could be like something to do. Your boat is going to have the ancestors with you, but you need to pilot the boat through the unconscious, in some magical fashion to get where it needs to go. And it's related to that very spiritual realm of Jamaica. So, it seems to be just a very wonderfully flavored aspect of the unconscious Jamaica, and that wonderful culture. Okay, now then we see, so now this is the last part. We see this plane helicopter lands nearby. The 2 rangers show up. They said that they were checking for mosquitoes and found some on my property. And so this is the collective consciousness is thinking that your place is too wild, So remember, the first part said something about to create more harmony, we must simplify. The last part says that the conscious attitude thinks that this place is too wild. So in both cases, first of all, it starts out, things need to be simplified to create harmony. In the last place, there is something in our conscious attitude that thinks this place is too far from civilization, too far from the collective attitude. Okay, all right. Now I didn't leave much time. Tim, do you have any comments?
Well, what I'm concentrating on is this dialogue between the tension and the harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So the father and the sister create tension, and the hammock creates tension. And there's something about having the pilot in the front of the boat that is tension, because you always pilot the boat from the back. I mean, that's where that's how you steer it. So there's some kind of a transformation that's happening. And so you mentioned this phrase, "You're up a creek with no paddle and doing fine." And I feel like that's the kind of the theme of the whole dream, that there's all this chaos, there's all this tension, the heavy guy is in the hammock, and yet there's no breakdown. It's all working fine. And so it's like, it doesn't matter if you're not in the back of the boat, you can steer from the front of the boat. It doesn't matter if you're a big, heavy guy, you can be in the hammock and transform the tension into something creative or something survivable anyway. So it just seems to me that the dream is telling you, there's a lot of chaos on the outside, but on the inside, you're doing fine. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, that brings a lot of the mystery of this place out. The tension, the harmony in the first part, the tension of the hammocks, the fact that who is really steering the boat, even though we're in the front of the boat, supposedly steering it. Remember, you had these dreams, Tim. I had these dreams that we're in the place of steering, yet the boat or the car seems to pilot itself, really. So who really is leading? The father or the realm of the ancestors is in the back of the boat where it's normally steered, where in the car we steer it from the front. And this is reversed, like for instance, I would be in the back seat of the car trying to steer the car. Now in this case, I'm in how did you steer it? Did you have a steering wheel?
Well, you guys are like way too literal.
Yeah.
I'm paddling this boat with my intuition.
Yes,
I don't need
right.
oars and motors and all that stuff, man. You guys are thinking too literal.
Yeah. Well, yes, I know, except that you're steering it with your intuition, but you're definitely not steering it with ego. Something else, the master, that person, when we're not the master on your own house, apparently is steering it, but that's part of you.
My intuition can tune into that.
Yes.
It wants to.
Yeah, and
Not allow it.
it's alive all by itself, and it's our informing guide, and it also has the magical ability to guide the boat. Okay, and then now the last part that was wonderful on the tension. On the last part, again, there seems to be an aspect that's sort of related to the first. That
they looked perturbed. That's a nice
yes,
thing.
That's a second type of perturbed aspect. First, the feminine's perturbed. Secondly, the conscious attitude is perturbed. The collective conscious attitude is perturbed.
They're authority figures.
Yes, and they don't like the fact that the realm that you're occupying is too wild. It is going to infect with the mosquitoes the collective attitude.
These guys couldn't handle Jamaica.
No, there you go. So that Jamaica is very wild. the streets with no drainage are very wild. You know, Jamaica with all its ganja people are very close to nature. Charles, did you have any comments on it?
I thought that the very beginning of the dream was interesting and that caught my attention. I see like, I know when the father shows up and he's like, I'm selling my business and I want to bring harmony to the family. Makes me think that, the masculine enterprise is like coming to a close, and that all that energy is now going to be like evenly distributed to different that energy that was once in that enterprise is now going to be kind of evenly distributed to all the members of the inner family. And I think that example is further illustrated by when they get on the boat, the father is in the back and, you know, goes from business to a magical boat ride through a shanty town.
And the father recedes then a little bit.
Right. And the business is like a very much an outer thing. And that's just the way I look at it. I don't really have any comments on the hammock part of it, but I did also think it was interesting that the animal that the Rangers choose to make a complaint about was kind of like a pesky animal.
Well, the
that is kind of universally hated. But yeah, I don't know. My main point is the energy that was in this patriarchal enterprise is now being converted into a even distribution amongst the inner family. That's all really.
Well, let's just put it this way: that the voyage through the unconscious could not start until the ancestral world created enough harmony that it could begin. So I think that this first part of the dream is conditional for the second part. If the first part had not happened, neither could the second part. So this first part is sort of because of the harmony that is as sort of the peace that comes. Now, let's say this: you said, Roy, that there was a lot of animosity. Okay, so from the father creating this harmony, and perhaps removing some type of childhood or obstacle to growth, you know, something that's been hanging over our head, when he comes in with the healing aspect and he's going to create more harmony, then at that point the voyage can begin, you know, this voyage to this special place, okay, and in Jamaica, okay. And so that there were lots of people, but they moved out of the way when the boat approached. Isn't that amazing that as the boat approaches, the collective moves to the sides? You know,
It was amazing.
Yes, it is. It's just so beautiful. This is the boat of harmony, and the collective attitude, like the Red Sea for Moses, parts when this being comes. Now, this is the ship. You called the dream the Father. This is the ship of healing, because we have gotten past some possibly something to do with our past family life that was troublesome or something. It could be that, or it could also be something just that. What do you think about that? What do you think
I
about that?
think it's my family, big chunk of thing in my family that was always been trouble.
Troubling you here, it seems to say if the father is going to bring that healing aspect to it. As soon as he does that, the voyage begins. Okay. And the voyage goes up against the current, and it's in this wonderful place of the unconscious of Jamaica. I mean, it's sort of like Eden. You know, there's this aspect of Jamaica, and it's full of unconscious contents of the water. And then there is, so now you come back home, and because you went on this journey, suddenly you can withstand almost any weight. You know, the resiliency of your ability to bear burdens has been greatly strengthened. You know, what do they call that when there is some kind of a rubber that can tensile strength? You know, the tensile strength of your ability to bear burdens has been immeasurably improved by the first two parts. The harmony, getting over some of the pain of our early childhood life. And because of that, going on this journey to the promised land, or being at least going to the middle, it allows us now to unite with the inner realms. And so in the outer realms, this is, you go back home, the outer realms, because of that second part that only could happen after the first part is done, you now you have the ability and the tensile strength to bear burdens you could never bear before. The Taoist part of you is saying, well, the hammock is for you, Roy, not for me. You know, Al seems to represent this inner aspect that is always there. So he seems to be this this wise old man, or this inner helper, but he's a helper in the inner world, not in the outer world. The hammock is the helper in the outer world, and that is this ability to withstand great burdens. Okay, now the only cloud that is facing us is that the collective attitude is not going to be these first three parts, which seems to be a healing to in the inner world and making us stronger in the outer world. The collective attitude is saying, this is too hocus pocus. You know, you are going to infect somebody's outer world with all this ability to withstand great weights from journeying to Jamaica and everything. This might seem, the aspect of that you can now bear burdens, great big heavy burdens, is not going to be honored by the outer world. What do you think, Roy?
Yeah. I look at my sister as an authority figure, and authority figures will not like this. They will not like this. And all I have to do is just keep my cool and stuff. It's really nothing they can do. I'm beyond that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about sort of this attitude that the first part of the dream is necessary for the second?
Sure, I like that. That's good.
And then the third part of the dream is the result of the second part, of the fact that you have you went on a journey to the center because of the resolution of the first part. So now, because of this ability or this journey to the center, now in the outer world, you can bear impressive weights. You know, the tension, the ability of you to not break or not snap in the outer world has been greatly enhanced. But the outer world is not going to honor this attitude or recognize the fact that there's some aspect that the outer world is not going to be very helpful here. I guess the whole idea is mosquitoes represent that the place you're living is like the wild river in Tim's dream. It is too far from the husband's realm, or this realm of the collective attitude, and you're going to infect the collective attitude, not with these wild women, but with the mosquitoes, or those aspects of that realm that could seep into the civilized or collective attitude of a realm of authority. Anyway.
I mean, yeah, these Rangers had to take a plane helicopter or something to even get to where I was.
Yeah, I mean, they had to fly there. Okay, you're
no road.
Yeah, you're a flight person. There's no road there, so the only way they could get there is through sort of this spiritual journey. Well, anyway, why don't we kind of leave it there, and we'll come back to it on Wednesday. Tim or Charles, do you have a dream?
I've got one here.
Okay, go right ahead. Well, we'll split the time. Of course, we're not going to be able to finish your dream, but at least we'll get to hear from both of you. And then we'll finish them up next time. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay, this is
okay.
Parachute Man.
All right, Parachute Man.
The setting is this old 1870 prospector's cabin that I actually got to stay in. That's original, and it's like staying in a museum. It's way off in the mountains in Montana, and I ran into this woman that told me about it and said her family is sort of taking care of it. And so I went up and stayed there for 5 days, and it was just a spectacular retreat for me. So that's the setting. I've hiked into the woods, perhaps with a companion dog, and at one point lay down for a nap. When I wake, I look through the trees and see the windows of this cabin. And so I think I'm going to stay there. In a moment, through the window, I see a bare-chested man and a few other people inside. And I realize I can't stay there. So I'll move on after a nap. But then I hear voices around me. I try to awake, but cannot force myself to wake, no matter how much effort I put in. Then I realize I can enter the dream. But for a while, all I see is the insides of my eyelids. Then I open my eyes and see on the mountain before me a woman hiking up toward the top. She stops and surveys the landscape. She seems much closer, as if the perspective was truncated. And in fact, she's exactly above me when she pulls out a toy man with a parachute, and having seen me, drops it, and it falls right onto my chest.
Okay, this is a very a dream of a different character, but I bet when we get done, it's going to speak to a lot of your other dreams. So in other words, Parachute Man is someone who descends from above using some kind of a thing to slow his descent, so that he's not injured by the descent. So now we've hiked into the unconscious, perhaps with the instincts. When the instinctive, we're accompanied by an animal helper, And then we lay down for a nap. It's very interesting to me is this very, the sleepiness sometimes that we experience in dreams. You know, I had this dream where I'm asleep in the basement. The anima comes down, and there's all these animals around me. I don't wake up. I wake up, but I don't care. And she starts speaking to the animals and ignores me. But anyway, we lie down for a nap. And then when we awake, we look through the trees and we see the windows of this ancient Bolingen. You know, it's sort of this ancient, sacred place of renewal. You know, it is so ancient, so sacred, so beautiful that whenever we're there, the ordinary world is far away. And at this point, ego can enter a timeless, spaceless realm, you know, and commune with it. However, when we look in it, we see some shadow figures and the collective. So, oh no, this is not, this possibility is the unconscious. Let's just say this: the temenos of healing is too full of shadow and the collective right now for us to heal there, for us to find this this place that we hiked into the woods with the instincts, with the animals to find, you know, this that you had experienced when you were there, that it was just this wonderful healing place. Okay, and you'll move on after a nap. So now, did you take a nap again? Another nap?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you decided to just continue napping, but then you hear voices around. You try to awake. Now this is so beautiful. I just really think this is a lovely, lovely thing to happen in a dream. We are now. Just think of this. This wonderful aspect. I'll tell you, one of the most beautiful things for me used to be, I don't do it anymore, was to fall asleep on the couch on a Saturday when there was either a golf tournament or a baseball game. You know, have all these people in the all these British people whispering, you know, and now you know, there's just this one. Oh, it's so delicious to have this happen. So I'm sort of half asleep, half between being awake and being asleep. But you hear these voices around you, and they're almost like a lullaby some way, you know. But now you can't wake up to see who it is, because there's just this aspect of that that awakening is not going to help. What we really need to do is to, in reality, enter the unconscious world. Okay, the temenos is full of shadow figures, and the only way that we can sort of resolve the dilemma here is for ego to take very seriously the unconscious, and to you know, to like, say, you know, we were talking about Charles' dreams, to manifest it in the outer world. Now in this case, where we want to bring the unconscious into the outer world, now we're trying to bring the conscious into the inner world. You know, how can we bring you know, the one way to resolve this is instead of bringing the unconscious into the outer world, we're going to do the same thing. But why can't we? Why shouldn't we be able to? We're going to bring ego closer to the middle plane, you know. And if we can, so if we can get ego out of the outer world and closer to the middle plane, closer to the Philosopher's Stone, closer to the inner temple of wisdom, then there's something that's going to occur. But for a while, all we see is the insides of our lids. But then, as Barbara Hanna says, that there's a sudden drop. Okay, you know, you think that nothing's happening in my active imagination, and you know, yet, and I think Roy, you could talk about this. But you get suddenly drift off, and suddenly you've dropped in. You've entered the dream. Okay, now you see on the mountain before you the anima ascending the heights. Okay, and she's gotten up to a point where she can now see vast distances. You know, she's left the earth, and now she can see vast distances. Okay, and she seems much closer, as if the perspective was skewed. So there's a sort of this a wonderful transformational activity of where she is, where we are. The spatial arrangements can just, in the inner world, can alter at will, you know. And then she does this very symbolic act. She pulls out something that represents the ego attitude. And she, for the feminine, now remember, a lot of times, I mean, not a lot of times, but at least 2 or 3 times, the anima has been on high places. Am I imagining that?
No,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. So now in this case, she is connecting with us. She sees us while she's surveying the landscape. And now the anima is saying that I have something of yours with me, that you have, you know, somehow, now I want to hear what Roy and Charles have said, but there's some aspect of the fact that she has the male aspect with her, drops it so it descends. Where does it land? On our hearts. Now, so the anima has given us this gift, and that is a very unusual event in your dream series. I think the anima giving us this gift after she ascends the holy mountain, you know, and then she. When have she ever given us, shows that she is connected to you, the male aspect of you, and she's saying, look, I have this aspect of you. It needs to be, it's from me. I'm giving it to you, and it's going to fall in your heart. What do you think, Roy? The feeling function, you know?
I like this a lot. It's like Tim's going on an expedition. He has a dog, his instincts, so it's starting out really well. And then he's sleepy or takes a nap. He kind of falls into a trance or a spell, and he can't get the Temenos. He awakens and sees this cabin. It's like a Temenos, but it's inhabited, and it's like something's wrong. He can't do the transitional space, the space between the physical and the inner world. And then he has mountains a lot in his dreams. The mountains are a prominent archetype for him, and the animus there. And she drops this toy man, and it lands on his heart. To me, it's like, well, this man isn't animated. You're going to have to animate this man, Tim. And how are you going to do that? You know, it lands on your heart, so that's a clue. She's giving you a clue.
Yeah, and the other thing is, and this is something that, of course, from that we always have to look at when there's a disconnect between a first part of a dream and a second part of a dream. The first part of the dream is showing us that the typical way of approaching the unconscious is closed off to us by the shadow and the collective realms. That hasn't worked. It's not going to work this time. How is it going to work? That the dream ego needs to approach the unconscious from the outer world. The only way that there's going to be this progress with the enema is the unconscious, or the dream ego and the outer ego need to leave ego realm, leave the outer realm, and approach in reality the middle plane. And if that happens at that point, then a connection between the heart and the feminine realms will occur, you know. And it's just if we put this in perspective with all the other anima dreams, this is just incredibly beautiful, you know. What do you think, Charles?
Not exactly sure, but I think it's interesting that Tim, you know, did not approach the people. I mean, there could have been room in the cabin for him, but apparently this is a
bare-chested
journey.
man. That to me is no way am I going into that.
No.
I'm not going into the room with a bare-chested man.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna walk right in, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Falling asleep in the middle of the woods makes me think of a fairy tale or something, and totally, you know, entering the dream realm. I don't know, I can't really think of anything other than the anima is instructing him to pack a parachute when he goes into the dream world.
Well, I think what this is really showing us, I think, is the key to the feminine realms that that Tim has sought for so many years, and we're being given a sort of a cryptic clue about what that key is, the key that unlocks that door, what it is. Okay, now the idea here is that the shadow and the collective realms are standing in the way somehow of something. Okay, so how do we move on from that realm? We really move on through, it appears to be, for ego consciousness, while it's awake, to enter a realm, enter the inner realms, you know, and it has to do this aspect of that it is not in time and space when this happens. So the only way that the feminine realms will be open, and this is a wonderful, magical gift she's giving us. You know, the homunculus, you know, the inner masculine, you know, the homunculus, that little man that is supposed to be created in the alchemical vessel, which they're always trying to create. And, you know, in the alchemical marriage of Christian Rosenkreuz, that little man becomes the king, the divine child, the saving figure, you know. And remember, it came after some bird got burnt, and then another bird came, and then they found this homunculus, and then it became the saving being, you know. So the aspect here is that what she is giving us, I think, you know, and this is the key of trying to enter the dream. Okay? The secret or the mystery of trying to enter the dream. She is showing us how to create personality number 2. You know, she is showing us that the way to unite with the feminine is we need personality number 2. Now, remember what Jung said about personality number 2. I mean, when Aniela Yaffe, or no, it was Barbara Hanna, said after he had his heart attack in 1944, had his near-death experience, you know, saw the stone that he was going to enter and find out the answers to all questions, and then suddenly his doctor comes in the form of the Basileus of Kos, you know, and tells him that that you can't leave. There's too much. There's too much of an outcry in the world below. And the Jungians all said, well, who is making this outcry? It wasn't me, you know. but anyway, so he returns to that world. And then from then on, Barbara Hanna says he very rarely, and only with great reluctance, would leave personality number 2. In fact, when he was in Bollingen, he wouldn't let Barbara Hanna visit there unless she had already spent a week with someone else at Bollingen, so that she wouldn't bring the air of Kusnacht into Bollingen. He didn't want it infected by that realm. So what I think she's saying by the attitude of the homunculus and the fact, this very strange image of the dream ego is almost entering the dream, you know, is she's saying the way to unite with me is to live in personality number 2. Okay. Now, and I think, Roy, you've mentioned this before, what Marie-Louise von Franz says is it means that we live in active imagination all the time. Okay. And now, what does that mean? Well, it means, she says, that we have always listened to the inner voice, that ego yields. Ego is the active principle in the outer world, but it doesn't make any decisions it does not consult with what she would do, throw an I Ching, you know, do anything to find out what the inner world wants of me. Now, I'm complicating it way too much, but I can't really describe it exactly, but the idea is the way to unite with the feminine is to have the personality number 2, who's represented by the homunculus, that was going to turn into the king, the divine child in the inner world, who's going to be this royal being, our royal being. He needs to be awakened. And at that point, then the Hieros Gamos, you know, that for the first time in our entire lives, we are going to be able to marry the feminine to us. And that great distance that was there before is going to close, you know. But it's just a very beautiful dream. Roy, do you have any observations?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the cabin that to me, I mean, that's just reeking with, it's Temenos, way out in the woods. Tim was talking about it, and it's occupied. Now, I don't know if that's the shadow or the dragon, but he couldn't get entrance to it. And I think in order to continue the alchemy, he's going to have to do it in the Temenos. He's going to have to find these Temenos.
It's interesting that I've been working on a painting of the Temenos for about 2 or 3 weeks now. So what you're saying, Roy, really makes sense to me, that there's some kind of activity going on there that needs to be addressed.
Is the person in marine boots in there right now?
Oh, I didn't think about that. That could be. But what I did think about was the, the dream from a couple of weeks ago when the muse was going up the stairs at the end of the dream at the university.
Oh, that was so beautiful. That was
and I refused to follow her. I didn't think there was any point in trying to follow her. And so in a way, this kind of seems like a continuation of that energy. And I also think about Beatrice going up the mountain for Dante to show the way to
She's
paradise.
the psychopompos. She's the guide of souls. Okay. So suddenly you've seen the pole star, you've seen that fixed point up, you've looked up, you're looking at something that is, I think, like Roy said, this future event, this future aspect of who we are. There is the feminine. She has she sees things you don't see because she occupies a much higher place, and her vistas far overwhelm ours. And from that high place of vision, she then drops the seed of the Hieros Gamos, and it lands in our hearts, not maybe on our hearts. It's meant to land in our hearts. Can it be put in our hearts? In other words, when it enters our heart, what would happen? The homunculus, if it could be planted in our heart. I mean, just when I'm talking about it myself, I felt this great surge of suddenly of some great renewal, some great newness that comes up about. Well, now we're not done with this. We'll finish it next time, either Wednesday or next time you can come, Tim. But does anyone have any closing comments on it? What I'm saying is we'll revisit it after we've thought about it, and we can maybe. Charles, did you have a dream ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just hear a few closing remarks about it. Anybody have any closing remarks? Roy or Tim? No. Okay. Now I do. I will definitely have some more things to say about this. Okay. And maybe too, Tim, if you can think about it or maybe do a drawing of it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's going to be very helpful. Because I think it's good to have a start on this dream, but if we sleep on it, I bet we see something we didn't see before. So anyway, let's do that. Let's kind of sleep on it. And I'll tell you, when I can sit and work with the dream all by myself, I see things that I don't see just off the top of my cuff. So we're going to revisit both Roy's dream. Roy, I don't think we're finished with your dream either, and Tim's dream.
I can add the next dream that I had.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't you send that too? Because let's because I'm just saying that this has been a wonderful journey, Tim, through these dreams of yours. I mean, to me, it has been a little bit of an X-ray of relationship with the feminine.
Yeah.
It's a struggle with the feminine, which we all face, not you, just you, but everybody. But I think in your case, it's particularly enhanced or something, because the wild women dream, the women of the House of Four Women, the woman that goes to see the rector. I mean, we really need to list these too. I would like to kind of get a list of them. Well, anyway, Charles, have you put your dream in the chat, or do you just want to tell it to us?
Yeah, I'll just tell it to you. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we don't.
Bored.
We'll go as far as we can with it. Let me turn this light on. It's getting a little dark. Okay. Go ahead.
So I was in a dream, and it was just darkness, but I could hear a loud train whistle approaching. I try to, quote, find myself, quote. I find my hands, there they are. I feel the blanket, there it is. I'm sort of trying to physically find my body and everything. I then wake up from the dream and I'm lying in a bed where Connor and Chase, who are brothers, are sitting by the bed using their feet to nudge me off of the bed. They say it's the only bed that they have and they don't have anywhere else to rest. I told them that I would not have come over if they would have told me that. Later in the dream, Chase is up on a balcony with a rifle shooting at us. Connor runs away, but his sister's there and she is shot and killed. And I run in a big circle and wind up back at the balcony, but am now behind Chase and he doesn't see me. And I hide behind some stuff and dark, everything's being lit up by the moon. And I see the silhouette of Chase putting the rifle in his mouth and pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that was it.
All right.
Wow.
Okay, this is a dream. Now, I want to just say something about some of these dreams. They're intense and everything, but they represent aspects of us. And even when they're this sort of graphic, usually what the unconscious is saying, I am experiencing pain from you not doing something, from you ignoring me. I want you to experience the pain I'm experiencing. And whenever we experience death, it is an aspect of ourselves that needs to die so something else can be reborn. So let's always keep that in mind. A lot of these very graphic aspects that happen sometimes. So anyway, we're in a very dark place. Now we're almost like in a place where it is so unconscious. There's so little light here that ego is almost snuffed out. This aspect that the ego is very weak because the ego doesn't have hardly any light in this place. Okay, now we hear a loud train whistle. So there's some aspect of that's the only orienting point we have right now in this total blackout is a train whistle. A train represents this vehicle that just seems to be relentless. It just keeps chugging along. It doesn't have to stop for anything. It just keeps going and going. And when you see a train and just goes by, one of the impressive aspects of the train is its steady, constant inertia that seems to be totally independent of ego. You know, I mean, it's just this aspect of somewhat like Moby Dick or something. It's just this thing that just is irresistible, that keeps moving no matter what. Okay, so that is kind of the undertone of this place where right now there's no ego light. That light, there's the light of ego is not there. So what ego is trying to do is to create light. And the first thing it does is to look at the organs of action, which are its hand, and then also some aspect of the persona. Now, in this case, the aspect of the persona is the blanket, you know. So after we have done that, suddenly light does come. If I'm missing anything, tell me. Okay. Now, at that point, we find two people in bed with us. One of them is the helpful person, Connor, and the other one is this malevolent shadow, Chase. Okay, and so the helpful person. Now we went from being no light of ego to now the helpful person and the shadow are trying to say they're shoving ego out. There's no room for you here, ego. You know, we don't have any room for you here on this bed. And then the ego says, well, if I knew that, I wouldn't even come over here. There's no room. So first of all, there's no light. Second of all, there's no room for ego. So both of those are kind of, you know, an interesting statement on ego consciousness. Okay. Now, suddenly, Chase, the shadow, is now sort of launched an attack on the helpful aspect. Two things. The shadow is snuffing out our feminine aspect. So the shadow in us is killing the feminine in us. The shadow in us kills the feminine in us. Until we can deal with Chase, the feminine is under attack and threat. Okay. Now, this is another thing where somehow magically ego, there's this what do they call that? Deus ex machina. You know, I don't know how to pronounce it, but there's this you know, irresolvable point in a novel, and there's no way out, you know, and the novelist is stuck. He doesn't know what the hell to do. And then suddenly he says, well, then there was a big earthquake. The earth opened up and all the bad guys fell into it, you know. So everybody was fine. You know, we resolved the dilemma by this crazy miracle. But anyway, suddenly we find us in the sniper's lair, you know, the realm of the book depository or whatever, and we're now can confront the shadow that is killing the feminine within us. Yet it seems now this is something that is a great mystery to me, and I can't, you know, easily explain it. But the shadow then suddenly, okay, once it might be showing us how to get rid of the shadow. If we can get, see, we've always had the shadow coming at us. If somehow we can get behind the shadow will disappear of itself, you know. But how do we get behind the shadow? Before the shadow is attacking us, if we can get distance from the shadow and see it from a different angle, it will not be so strong. So then it will just eliminate, instead of for it attacking the feminine aspect in this, it will attack itself, you know. So anyway, that's sort of my start. What do you think, Roy?
Yeah, it's hard if it isn't written down for me. Let me ask Charles, what does a loud train whistle represent for you? What kind of images do you get with the loud train whistle?
I know, sort of, I don't know, it's kind of sounded like it was like a dangerous situation. Like I couldn't see anything, yet I knew a train was coming. So I needed to be alert and know where I was and know what was going on, but I couldn't do that. So I felt a little bit in danger.
Okay, kind of a wake-up call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm getting this is you're going to be leaving in a few days, and that's a wake-up call, and and you're like in the realm of the mother, the bed, the darkness, the bodies, sort of. You're trying to find it, and you're getting rustled out of the realm of the mothers, and you don't want to get out of there, and it seems like Chase is, he's these Chase and Connor are throwing you out of the bed. Okay, they're throwing you out, and then it gets even more extreme. The Chase is shooting at you. You got to get out of bed, man. That's how I'm interpreting this dream.
Do you have any comments about that, Charles? How is this? Do you think this is? I think that Roy has hit on an important point. Like after I was hoping I would have some dreams after that cranial sacral thing. I haven't had any good ones yet, but we'll see. But you are approaching a critical juncture in your life, and this one seems to sort of outline some of the issues. The ego is not creating enough light. It needs to create more light. It's leaving the realm of them the aspect that it was in. Okay, what does the train represent? The train's leaving the station. Okay, so the thing that is going to take us out of the realm of the mother is announcing its presence, okay, through the train whistle. So it's this aspect that's going to leave. You're going to actually go there on a train too, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Amtrak. Okay. So the Amtrak whistle is summoning you, okay, out of your dark mother realm, which right now you're living in your mother's house, and it is really a place where you don't wake up. That ego is a little bit too much in there, and then then this aspect of the shadow and the helpful person are also saying, you're leaving them too a little bit. Okay, this shadow aspect that has kept attacking or inhibiting you from having a relationship with the feminine. Now, the shadow aspect in you, Charles, is your inability to act. I mean, in other words, the idea of this no energy, no libido, sort of not interested in anything. I mean, you go back and forth on it, but I think that's the shadow aspect, that it's killing the feminine. But after the train whistle was announced, you get behind that shadow. So it is possible, at least the dream might be saying this, that this thing that's been attacking the feminine, the train whistle, will bring more light to the ego. It will get you away from the shadow, get out of bed with it, for one thing. Let's get out of bed with the shadow. Let's not bunk with the shadow anymore. or maybe even Connor, you know, we need to get out. We need to get out of the darkness of the mother realm. We need to get out of the bed with the shadow and this probably somewhat infantile helper of ours, you know, and at that point, the shadow will, at least the current version of the shadow, will end his life himself or get rid of himself. You know, let's just say that he gets rid of himself. So that current version of the shadow. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I'm kind of alarmed by the business of, you know, shooting other elements, but I wonder if that isn't the image of yourself, the immature part that needs to be left behind. When are you leaving?
3 days.
Oh man, are you excited?
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
absolutely.
Well, what would make sense to me is that the figure is not a shadow, but an aspect of innocence or immaturity or some younger part of yourself that has to be eliminated entirely in order to move forward. And I didn't realize until a minute or two ago that you hadn't already left. And so I was kind of struggling with the train, but I think that's exactly right, that, you know, the train is going to leave and your time has come. The signal has been sent and there's no going back now. And once you get on the train, there's this relentless carriage that's going to pull you into this new life. And so the part that needs to die is now finished, and you are done with that. You don't need that anymore. That's kind of where I am with it.
The locomotive of the train is really almost a saving thing, you know, from the mother realm, I mean, this is what it's really doing, is telling us this is the way out. Don't miss this opportunity, you know.
Yeah, and when it comes to initiation for a young man, there's this violent aspect to it that you have to be, you know, in the Native American cultures, the young man, the young boy is stolen from the mother's teepee and dragged out into the woods and had his teeth knocked out or some kind of ritual sacrifice, a bloodletting or something like that. So there has to be this kind of
realm.
Yeah. So there has to be this kind of violent aspect to departing from the mother's world.
To show that there was a threshold that you crossed. In other words, there's no going back. You know, once we've left this, I have this feeling, Charles, that as long as you can adapt to the place in Maine and not bring the attitude of St. Louis with you to Maine, that there'll be no going back. That the killing aspect of the feminine within you is going to not be there anymore. What now, Charles? Now, what I'd like for next time is, Roy, you bring another dream. Tim, you bring another dream. If you have a follow-up one, but we'll just kind of review these and see if we got any further thoughts. But Charles, what do you think? You got the closing words here. Just what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what everyone says made a lot of sense. I see the Chase kind of shooting everyone as a sort of particular logos function gone wrong because of neurosis, I guess. That he's taking aim at things and trying to it targets, except he is like, you know, that function sort of fell into the wrong hands because I wasn't using it. And yeah, I don't know. It's a little, I think it's interesting that the dream chose people of a particular family that I was formerly associated with. They're all brothers and sisters.
I think that there is an aspect of your shadow too, other than the fact that now Connor or Chase doesn't seem to represent that as much as this lack of libido, but he does represent sort of a finding it. It's not the ISIS world. It's this world of the theoretical abstract world that is a little bit, which seems almost, you're almost seemingly making a religion out of, but it's so far from the feminine, so abstract, you know. But anyway, hopefully you're going to have internet there, right, Charles, or not?
I assume so. I mean, I'm going to be.
At least you have phone.
I got to pay $500 a month for rent and amenities, so I hope they would have some, at least something, you know, some type of Wi-Fi.
Okay, great. Well, anyway, I mean, each one of these dreams, when I first saw it, it was a little daunting, and when I was ended, it was just beautiful. And I say that about your dream too, Charles. I mean, it was when I first heard it, it was like but I do think it has to do with going to Maine, and Roy, that was great, you know. So anyway, well, we only got a couple more sleeps, and you know, let's see if we can, Roy, if you can bring that follow up, I think it'd be great. Let's see what that it has, because those other two dreams before were the one with Adelaide, and then that middle one seemed a little troubling, you know.
Yeah, so, they seemed that way, but they weren't.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay. Anyway, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time. And Tim, we're going to need to see your embroidery at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll see you later. Thanks, guys. Roy, Charles. Okay. Bye-bye.